Now you go get that beautiful pig.
$30 million. Matt LeBlanc was asked if he had any regrets about the spinoff he himself said did not work, and he said, "I made $30 million. I need more failures like that." That right there, that quote, is the best thing to come out of one of the strangest spin-offs in television history. Everything about Friends' only attempt at a spin-off was weird, off-putting, and at times downright confusing. And today, it's all but disappeared from the zeitgeist of popular culture. It isn't spoken about, it isn't on streaming services, it's just gone. And all these years later, almost everyone involved regrets that they allowed the show to even exist as it was. So when I sat down to write a Friends episode for this channel, I realized I was far more occupied with thoughts of what went wrong with Joey, and how important that character is in television, and with what should have been a sure thing. What was so bad about the Joey Show?
Hey, people expect a certain flair, all right? The sunglasses say, "You may not know who I am, but yeah, it's me."
Friends was a 10-season phenomenon. It's almost impossible to articulate the success of a show that defined the landscape of that genre for a decade. It was a show built on camaraderie, relationships, and a slow refinement of character, and it was an incredible success. Want some context to that success? The Friends finale was the most watched episode of any television show throughout the entirety of the 2000s. 52 million people watched it. For a point of reference, that's 52 times the population of the state of Delaware, and 13 million more people than the entire population of Canada. Seriously. So with any great show, money talks, and spin-off conversations began. Show following the adventures of Joey in Hollywood as an actor. Same character, different show, different location. And then somehow, the show's entire pilot episode leaked online well before it was set to air, and people were upset. They hated it. Its first massive problem was, confusingly, Joey had next to nothing to do with Friends. Yeah, the Friends team moved on and left the new team to do what was natural. Take everything you knew about the character and do the exact opposite? Joey in the Joey Show is depressing. He's, as LeBlanc put it, now glass half empty. He can't make friends, he can't get a date, he's socially inept, and worst of all, he's overwhelmingly negative about it all. Friends producer Kevin Bright would say its weirdest mistake was trying to force a character who should have always been a kid to grow up. It forced Joey to change into a character that wrapped all the drama, the chaos and responsibility of 6 great characters into just this guy. And the writers, and Matt LeBlanc, simply couldn't carry the weight. And it frustrated LeBlanc and the other actors. This wasn't what they wanted. It got so strange behind the scenes that one of the show's creators just left after season 1. The reality is, in television, characters are a combination of writers, directors, and actors. Joey lost 2 of those 3 things, and it proved how essential that pyramid of character creation really is. But where the show got weirder is how it tried to pretend that the world it had created simply didn't exist.
I believe there is something bigger for me right around the corner.
Listen, you are living in a dream world.
Joey totally abandons his life in Friends, in the Joey Show, in a way that doesn't even feel believable for the character, in a way that almost deconstructs what made Joey, Joey. The people he loved. That's what built his persona, his personality. They never make an appearance in the Joey Show, by the way. Joey only rarely mentions his friends in New York or New York itself in passing, and there's absolutely no attempt to make him feel like a character that existed before this show, which, as we, the audience, know, he did. See, the producers and writers wanted the Joey Show to feel like its own entity, to stand on its own 2 feet. So they believed the best way to do this would be to separate the 2 shows as much as possible for the first 2 seasons, to leave Friends and its characters out of narrative, to essentially pretend they didn't exist for the most part, which is entirely antithetical to what a spin-off should be. It was especially confusing because they advertised the show as a continuation of the Friends story, as a chance to keep being a part of Joey and their lives, and yet at the same time, they all, every creative on the show, felt the crushing pressure of following Friends' success. Almost each and every writer and producer on this show would say later that they felt this was an unmanageable task, but out of fear of that Friends shadow, they didn't give audiences what they advertised. They gave people exactly what they didn't want. a strange alternate universe where a weird clone of Joey lives a confusing new life. To do so, they tried to fill Joey's life with strange new obstacles, picking up girls, meeting people, pretending to relearn English, and he would fail at all of them. Joey faced no meaningful opposition. There were no exciting new relationships. There was no conflict. It was a strange show that operated in a 3-act structure but forgot the second act altogether. It was just a beginning and an end, without anything interesting in between. And this wasn't just boring, it felt inauthentic, because we already know Joey. He does have friends. Why is he struggling to make new ones? He's dated girls. Why is he pretending like he can't fathom the idea of making that happen either? It's simple. Joey was always a product of his environment on Friends. He was the fly that stuck to the glue that was the people around him. The Joey Show removed the glue and let him fly anywhere he wanted, and simply couldn't find a way to recapture him. It filled his life with less interesting people, hollow relationships, and insignificant problems, who and which we cared about less, and told us that they mattered. But in the shadow of this, they never could.
Although actually, I'm really not that hungry this morning.
When one of the original creators of Friends was approached with the idea of the spin-off, his response was reportedly 2 words. Oh no. As it began its run, Kevin Bright believed turning Joey into this new, mopey, pathetic character, as he put it, was a bad idea, and according to him, his concerns voiced to the network were ignored. The executive producer of the show, the same guy, would say he was relieved when the show was canceled, and the show was canceled. Today, its average of 7 million viewers an episode wouldn't be terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but under the shadow of Friends, or better yet, as it rode the coattails of Friends into a field of disappointment, that 7 million an episode wasn't nearly enough. And it got bad enough that NBC decided to cancel the show in the middle of its 2nd season, leaving 8 episodes unaired. The Joey Show is what happens when you know what you're creating is wrong. When you know what you're doing is chasing money instead of story, instead of characters. Joey is what happens when suddenly the creatives that made something special are no longer there to create. Joey is why things should end, as all things do. It's inorganic, unnatural to try to make things live forever, which is inherently what a spin-off tries to accomplish. Friends was magical. That's a wrap on today's episode of Nerdstalgic. If you enjoyed this one, press that like button down below. If you haven't yet done so, also press subscribe. That way you won't miss anything I put out. Also, next to the subscribe button is a little bell. That just makes sure you're actually notified when I upload something, so hit the little bell as well. And as always, on your screen right now are 2 more episodes of Nerdstalgic. You can click on those to see more of what I put out recently, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.